Good morning, students. Myself, Faiz Sultana Nasser. I am teaching in Metanagar School, Goregaon West. Today we will be doing revision of history, that is chapter 1, historiography, development in the West. Okay, so now what is historiography? The name of our lesson is historiography. So what is historiography? So from the word, we come to know that this word is of two words, that is historio and graphy. Historio is history and graphy is writing. That is writing of history. Here you can see in the picture, so many books are there and basically it is written. Now, writing history, we cannot write it on our own or in our imaginary way. We have to do research on it. So, how historical research is done and how history is written, we'll be seeing in detail in this chapter 1. Okay. So, what is historiography? So, there is a method of historical research. It is done like critically examining various sources, examining references, studying transitions, understanding conceptual framework, formulating questions, formulating hypotheses. So, historical research, writing, and studies are carried out with an objective of understanding the chronology of the past, like understanding what had happened in the chronological order, like the events which have occurred is to be arranged in series, in serial-wise order, okay, and their relations. So, historical writing is carried out with an objective of understanding the chronology of the past events and the interconnections. This is a continuous process. Now, in science, you have studied in science whatever available knowledge we have to verify. We verify in labs by empirical method, that is laboratory method. We do experiments, or scientists do experiments. They observe that, okay, and their laws, scientific laws remains the same, but this method is not possible in history. Okay, in historical research, it may not be possible to use the method of laboratory experiments and observation. In history, experiments, observations, laboratory method is not possible. This is so because we were not present in the historical time and space, and the historical events cannot be recreated because we were not present in that time when that event had occurred. Okay, and that event cannot be recreated now. Okay, so also the formulas which we create, or which is formulated, it cannot be remain the same as it is remain constant and universal in science. Okay, so scientific method is different, and historical method or historical research and scientific is very different from scientific research. So to begin, we need an expert who knows the language and script of a historical document. Okay, so while doing the research on history, we need an expert. If certain document is found related to history, or historical document is found, if it is in some other language and which a human being or we cannot know, okay, but the experts who know this language and script, he can read that document and understand its meaning. Also, he examines the authenticity of the document by using criteria such as lettering style, author style of writing, manufacturing date, and type of paper, stamps of authority. Such a document is further scrutinized by a historian. Okay, first experts analyze it, and then further they give it to for scrutinization by an historian with the help of relevant historical references. Now, these are the references which are useful for historical research. Okay, methods of various disciplines are useful in historical research. For example, archaeology. You can see in the picture archaeology is excavated, the earth is excavated and the burials are found. Okay, that is called archaeology. The next is archival things. Now, archives, you have already studied this word in 9th standard. Archive. What is an archive? It is a document. Okay. So, archival science is a study of documents or data collection. Okay. Next is manuscriptology. It's a study of history and literature through handwritten documents. Okay, sorry, there was, I think, connection issue. Again, I'll explain this. There are various methods useful in historical research. Okay, these are the methods or these are the examples. For example, found in earth. Okay, when excavation is done, the things which are found, they are observed. Sorry everyone, again it's got disconnected. So next is manuscriptology. Beside manuscriptology, what you can see there is a picture that is a handwritten document. History and literature through handwritten documents. Okay, if some handwritten documents are there, so experts study it. Okay, historians study it, and that study is called manuscriptology. Next is linguistics, study of languages. Epigraphy. Epigraphy is study of inscription. Next is analysis of lettering style. In the picture, you can see that letters are there. So letters are analyzed. Okay. And next is genealogy, that is study of lineage. In the picture, you can see son, aunt, mother, daughter, father, grandmother. So it is a study of families. Genealogy is study of families. Okay. And last one is numismatics, that is studies of coin. In various coins are found in excavation, so that coins are studied, and that study is called numismatics. Okay, by studying that coin, we come to know that it is of which king's reign. Okay. So in this chapter, historiography, the chapter is divided into 4 parts: 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, and 1.4. And 1.1, we will see historiography, scientific perspective, and in Europe, and historiography. And last one is notable scholars. Which are the notable scholars that help in the development of historiography, that is writing of history. So we will see first, that is 1.1, tradition of historiography. Next. Tradition of historiography. We have learned about the historical research method, that was critically examining the historical sources. What is the historical method of research? That whatever sources are there, we have they have to be critically examined. Okay, so critically examining the historical sources and writing the historical narrative. Definition: The writing of critical historical narrative is known as historiography. This is the definition of the historiography. And the one who writes, a scholar who writes such a narrative is historian. The historian cannot include every past event in his nature. So whatever things which have happened in the past, historian cannot write that. Okay, everything he cannot write that unless and until he scrutinizes or he examines or he analyze it. Okay, so he has to do research on it. Then only he can write that event in his writing. The inclusion and interpretation of historical events by the historian often depends on the conceptual framework adopted by him. What is conceptual framework? The style of writing. His style of writing is determined by that conceptual framework. The tradition of writing historical narrative, that is historiography, was not prevalent in the ancient societies of the world. Now, in ancient society, in the ancient times, this tradition of writing was not there, but how history was passed to generation, by which method or what was sources available at that time to pass the knowledge of that period to another period. Okay, so we will see. However, that does not mean that they were not aware of the historical time or were not eager to know about it. Ancient people also felt the need of passing the stories of the life and valor of the ancestors to the next generation. Ancient communities all over the world used various means like cave paintings. In the picture, you can see cave paintings, storytelling, singing songs and ballads, etc. for this purpose. So, what was the method of passing history, passing knowledge from one generation to generation, like the sources which were available on that time? They were at that time, suppose cave painting was done, so it is done on cave painting. Then at some period storytelling was there or singing ballads, singing songs. Okay, so this sources was adopted. These methods were adopted. Traditional means, these are called traditional means. These traditional modern historiography. You have studied in right from fifth standard sources of history, which are the sources of history like material sources, oral sources. So singing songs, ballads, etc. These all come under oral sources. Okay, so this was of tradition of historiography, first part. Now we'll move on towards the second part of this chapter, that is 1.2 modern historiography. Now there are four main characters of modern historiography. You have a question in your textbook. What are the main four characteristics of modern historiography? So you have to write all the 4 points. So first point, its method is based on scientific principle. It begins with the formation of relevant questions. Okay, so the method is the method is based on scientific principles and it begins with the formation of relevant questions. Means relevant questions, appropriate questions has to be formed. Next one, these questions are anthropocentric. Okay, now what is the meaning of anthropocentric? It means that these questions are about the deeds of the members of ancient human societies of a particular period. History does not suggest any interrelation or connection between the divine and human deeds. It is all about deeds of the member of ancient human societies of a particular period. This means anthropocentric. Third point, answers to these questions are supported by reliable evidence. When if questions are formed, then while answering it, okay, while answering it, the answers should be supported by reliable evidence. If there is a reliable evidence, then only the answer will be true or it will be supported. Okay. Fourth point, that is, history presents a graph of mankind's journey with the help of past human deeds. What is mankind's journey like from the beginning, from Stone Age to of man? Okay, from its journey is presented through a graph from Stone Age progress to the progress now. Okay, it is said that the modern historiography, which above characteristics, has its roots in ancient Greek historical writings. History is originally a Greek term. Herodotus, the Greek historian of the 5th century BC, used it first for the book entitled the Histories. So history, this word is a Greek word. Okay, so Greek historian Herodotus, in his book The Histories, he have used this four modern characteristics of historiography, and his book's name is The Histories. Okay, so next part is 1.3, development of scientific perspective of Europe and historiography. Now, how scientific view is developed in historiography in Europe, will be seeing in this part. Okay, till the 18th century CE, Europe had achieved a remarkable progress in the fields of philosophy and science. Scholars by then had come to believe in the possibility of studying the social and historical truths by applying scientific methods. Now the scholars, they have learned how to um, apply scientific methods. Okay, they are not just writing history, they were using applying scientific methods. Okay, they are confirming the truth whether that event is true or not by confirming it, by studying it. Okay, now the philosophical discussions focused more and more on the objects in the historiography. Prior to the 18th century, all European universities were interested only in the philosophical discourses revolving around divine phenomena. However, gradually this scenario began to change. Now, in 1737 CE, the Göttingen University was founded in Germany. This university, for the first time, had an independent department of history. Okay, for first time, there was university named Göttingen was founded in Germany. Okay, and it was having a department, a special department for history section. Okay, it was independent. This university was the first time had an independent department of history. Later, other German universities also became centers of historical studies. After this university, other universities also became the center of historical studies. Means historical researchers also started in other universities. So, Göttingen University was the first. So now we will see the notable scholars. The contribution of many scholars are important in the development of historiography. There are many scholars who have contributed their views, okay, so that help in the development of historiography. Let us have a look at the contributions of the few notable scholars. Ren Descartes. Ren Descartes, born in 1596 and died in 1650. Ren Descartes was the foremost among scholars. Okay, he was the first one who insisted on verifying the reliability of historical documents. Okay, he insisted on verifying the reliability of the documents. Okay, like the documents are reliable. By how? by critically examining them. Okay, so Ren Descartes was the foremost among scholars who insisted on verifying the reliability of historical documents by critically examining them. Among the rules given by him in his book Discourse on the Method. Now, Ren Descartes wrote one book, and the name of the book is Discourse on the Methods. Students, you have to keep in mind which scholar has written which book. Okay, there is a question like correct the pair, or you get the question of conceptual maps also, maps. So you have to remember which scholar has written which book. So, Discourse on the Method is written by Ren Descartes. The following is supposed to have a great impact on the scientific method of research. Never to accept anything. He said in his book, never to accept anything for true. Okay, anything whatever is there, we should not accept it true till all grounds of doubt are excluded. Means until it is all doubts are there, whatever doubts are there, it should be cleared. Then only you can think that is true. So he always said in his book, never to accept anything for true till all grounds of doubt are excluded. So this was all about Ren Descartes, a notable scholar. Now our next scholar is Voltaire. Okay, he was born in 1694 and died in 1778. Voltaire's sorry original name was Francois Marie Rouet. He was French. He was French. He opined. Now, opine means he had his opinion. He opined that along with objective truth and chronology of historical events, considering social traditions, trade, economy, agriculture, etc., was equally important in historiography. Okay, he believed that arranging the historical events which happened in the past, okay, so that is also equal to social traditions, trade, economy, agriculture. Okay, these things also he believed that these are also important. It gave rise it gave rise to the thought that understanding all aspects of human life is important for history writing. So he believed that all aspect, okay, like tradition, social traditions, what were the social traditions during that time, what was the trade carried on, what was the economy, how was the economy, and how agriculture was done, okay, etc. All these things also are important for writing history. Thus, it is said that the Voltaire was the founder of modern historiography. Who was the founder of the modern historiography? You have the fill in the blank of this lesson. Voltaire was the founder of modern historiography. Okay, up till now we have seen two notable scholars. First one was Ren Descartes. Next one, the second was Voltaire. Third one is George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel was born in 1770 and died in 1831. Now let's see what he has to say. Hegel was a German philosopher. Okay, Voltaire was French and Hegel is a German. Hegel was a German philosopher. He insisted that the historical reality should be presented in a logical manner. He believed that, or he said that historical reality should be presented in a logical manner, means in a reasoning manner. To him, the timeline of historical events was indicative of progress. He also thought that the presentation of history is bound to change over time as new evidence would come forth. With Hegel's philosophy, many scholars were convinced that historical methods were not of lesser quality, though they differed from scientific methods. The collection of his lectures and articles is published in a book entitled Encyclopedia of Philosophical Sciences. So whatever lectures or whatever he has written is all published in a book entitled Encyclopedia of Philosophical Sciences. His book Reason and History is well known. Okay, so George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel's book is Reason in History. Remember that. According to Hegel, grasping the meaning of any event happens in terms of two direct opposites. He says like every thing which happens, it has two sides, opposite sides. Okay, human mind cannot understand the true nature of that event without understanding the opposites. For example, okay, so human nature or human mind, he understands the thing by seeing the two aspects, okay, two opposite aspects. For example, true false, like one event is true or false, it can be true also, it can be false also, or good bad, etc. In order to understand the true nature of a thing, one needs to know both true and false, similarly good and bad. This method of analysis, which is based on opposites, is known as dialectics. Okay, the method of analyzing anything in two ways. Okay, in opposite way, like true, false, good, bad, etc., is known as dialectics. This question comes as a, explain the concept. In this lesson, you have the question explain the concept dialectics. So this was the answer. Now, how this method works. In this method, a theory is proposed at the beginning, which is called thesis. Then another theory is proposed, which is contrary to the thesis. Okay, contrary means opposite. It is called antithesis. So this method works like thesis, when one is thesis and other one is antithesis. After a thorough logical discussion of the both, a new thesis is proposed which includes the gist of both. Now first they will work on this thesis, then they will work on antithesis. Okay. Then after going through with both the thesis and antithesis, they will form a new thesis. Okay, they will propose a new thesis which include both the thesis and the antithesis. This process of arriving at the new thesis is called synthesis. Okay, from both the thesis and antithesis, one new thing is arrived, that is called synthesis. Next notable scholar, Leopold von Ranke, born in 1795 and died in 1886. Historiography of the 19th century was greatly influenced by thoughts of Leopold von Ranke of Berlin University. Okay, he was from Berlin University. He spoke. Now, what Leopold von Ranke spoke about historical research. He spoke about the critical method of historical research. He put emphasis on the utmost importance of information gathered through original documents. Okay, he said that whatever documents which are gathered, he emphasized on the utmost important, like what information is written in that. Okay, what information is gathered from those documents, from those original documents. He also stated that all types of documents associated with a historical event need to be examined with greatest care. Okay, he also said that the events should be examined with greatest care. He believed that with this method it was possible to reach the historical truth. Okay, when it is examined, or when it is after examining only we can go to its truth. Now, collection of his articles is published in two books entitled The Theory and Practice of Theory, and the other book is The Secret of World History. So there are two books in which his articles are published. That is The Theory and Practice of Theory, Practice of History, and second one is The Secret of World History. Next notable scholar is Karl Marx. Excuse me. Karl Marx, born in 1818, died in 1883. Okay. Now, in the latter half 19th century, a new school of thought arose, keeping in view the new thesis formulated by Karl Marx. Now, what Karl Marx has to say. According to Karl Marx, history was not about abstract ideas. Okay, he said that history was not about any abstract ideas. It was about living people. Okay, means what people lived in those days. Okay, what people has gone through. It is not about any idea. What people actually lived. He believed in this. So, according to Karl Marx, history was not about abstract ideas. It was about living people. Human relationships Human relationships are shaped by fundamental needs of people and the ownership as well as nature of prevalent means of production to meet those needs. Okay. The accessibility of these means to different strata of the society may not be equal. Now he said that there is a in society there is upper class, middle class, working class, and classes there. Different strata of society may not be equal. See, upper class is high, then middle class. So there is equality is not there between the classes. So the accessibility of these means to different strata of the society may not be equal. This inequality causes a division of society. Okay, because of inequality, the society is divided into classes, leading to the class struggle. According to Marx, human history is the history of class struggle. Class struggle means classes are not equal. That is divided into three groups: upper, middle, higher. So, according to Karl Marx, human history is the history of class struggle, as the class that owns the means of production economically exploits the rest of the class. Means means which class is owning economic production. Suppose higher class is owning economic production, like it is producing economy, then other classes are exploited. Okay, so he says that human history is the history of class struggle, as the class that owns the means of production economically exploits the rest of the classes. Das Kapital, a treatise written by him, is the most referred book all over the world. Okay, so Karl Marx wrote the treatise that is Das Kapital. The German economist Karl Marx argued that social stratification results directly from the relationship individuals have with the means of production. If you own the means of production such a factory, you are a member of the ruling capitalist, wealthy class, also known as burghese. In those days, the wealthy class was known as burghese. So this was all about Karl Marx. Now next is Anil's school. Can you have the question? Explain the concept Anil's school. So, at the onset of the 20th century, a new school of historiography arose in France, which is known as Annales School. Okay, this school was of historiography, and it arose in France. So, it was known as Annales School. Annales School gave a new direction to history writing. It gave a new direction to writing of history. It was recognized now that history is not only about the political events, okay, kings, great leaders, and accordingly politics, diplomacy, and wars, but also about the climate. Okay, history is not only about political events, not only about kings, not only about great leaders, and accordingly, it is also about climate, local people, agriculture, trade, technology, means of communication, means of communication, social divisions, and their collective psychology, etc. The NL school was started by French historians. Okay, this NL school was founded in France. It was the school of historiography. Okay, and it was started by French historians. So these all points you have to remember for your answer. Explain the concept NL school. And one more thing was that it was recognized that history not only about political events but also about climate, local people, agriculture, trade, technology, means of communication, social division, collective psychology. So this was all about NN schools. Now we'll move further. That is feminist historiography. Feminist historiography means the restructuring of the history from the perspective of women. Means from the point of women, this historiography is written. Feminist means women. Okay. The writings of Simon. Now, who wrote this? The writing of Simon de Beauvoir helped in establishing the fundamentals of feminism. Okay. Whatever she has written, it helped in establishing the fundamental of feminism. Feminism means women power. She was French. Okay, she was from France. The feminist not only feminist historiography emphasized not only on the inclusion of women in history, but also on the rethinking of the male dominated perspective of history. Okay, male dominated history perspective, it changed. Okay, first male domination was done. Okay, so while writing, when she wrote about feminist historiography, so the point of view has changed. Okay, it drove historical Sorry, once again, it got disconnected. So, in the historical writings after 1990, women were portrayed. Historical writings, women were treated as a independent social class. This was all about feminist historiography. Okay, Simon de Beauvoir, she wrote in her historical research. Now, last notable scholar is Michael Foucault, born in 1926 and died in 1984. The French historian of the 20th century, Michael Foucault, brought forth a new concept of historiography. So he brought a new concept in historiography. He, in his book Archaeology of Knowledge, argued that the prevailing practice of arranging historical event in a chronological order is not right. Okay, history is arranged in chronological order, right? In series. Like if some event happened in 1990, so another event will come right after it, right? Suppose after 91 will come, 92, a serial wise order is formed. But what Michael Foucault said, he said the prevailing practice of arranging historical events in a chronological order is not right. He, according to him, it was not right. He drew attention to the fact that archaeology does not strive to reach the ultimate historical truth. He drew attention to the fact that archaeology does not strive to reach the ultimate historical truth but attempts to explain various transitions in the past. Okay, so when things are found in archaeology, we cannot get what had happened exactly, but we get some transitions. Okay? Foucault felt that explaining the transition history is more important. He called his method the archaeology of knowledge. Okay? So according to him, the explaining the transition in history is more important. And Michael Foucault's method is called as the archaeology of knowledge. Foucault subjected Foucault Michael Foucault subjected the so far unacknowledged areas by historians such as psychological disorders, science of medicine, prison, administration, etc. to historical analysis. Thus, the scope of historiography kept continuously expanding. Writing of histories of various subjects like literature, architecture, sculpture, drawing, and painting, music, dance, drama, films, and television, etc., came into practice. Okay, here this chapter is over. In next session, in next lecture, we will be dealing with question answers of this lesson. Okay. First, we will see the textual question answers. Then we will see extra question answers, important question answers. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Wind up the lecture.
Ma'am, yeah. Once again, thank you, everyone. Tomorrow we'll be continuing with question answers of this lesson.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.